Awesome. So you guys, you've got down this leadership stuff, organized planning, super, super important, very exciting. Now we're going to transition that just a little bit into fields of leadership, which is awesome. You know, Hill writes this book and he talks about all the amazing ways you can apply leadership into politics, into financial industry, into religion, into industries, especially sort of like officials as a future leader, in professional industries like law, medicine, education, and also in like journalism and the public opinion and the public eye. These are all fields that, you know, when this book came out, Hill saw as just crucial places for leadership. And I think, you know, you can tell, especially with all the principles that you've gained from this, that this sort of skill set really applies, you know, to a greater marketplace. I'll tell you, you know, I just went to, you know, a little bit ago, there was this this thing called the Roberts, and it's a scholarship to UNC Chapel Hill, UNC Duke, or just Duke University, and it's like a joint program. And one of the biggest things they emphasize through that program, which is a nationally renowned program for a full ride of both universities, is the development of leadership and creating, you know, tomorrow's leaders, right? And they have a tough time with it because it's hard, right? There's not a whole lot of very scientific, factual, you know, this is how you create leadership. And I think one of the best ways to do that really is through creating that overarching long-term goal with the secret formula and using that to guide your actions day to day. So I'm very proud of this content. I think it's extremely powerful. It's changed my life. And these are just some of the industries he goes through and he's talking about right now, about how he sees leadership as a way to fundamentally shift your positioning in the marketplace to create tremendously higher impact and value with everything you do, which is a very powerful way to fundamentally change the way that you're perceived, right? He says here, you know, new opportunities, new leaders are constantly available because the world is undergoing rapid change, and the people that can change with it, right, are the ones that are going to determine the trends of civilization. So it's all about that flexibility, it's all about that growth, which is what you guys are doing on here on this training. That's awesome. And now what we're going to do, and this is something I was a little bit skeptical about, but I know it's important, and that's why I think I should do it. Hill went through years and years of experiences working with thousands of men and women to help them market themselves, sell themselves, and get really good jobs, high-paying jobs, you know, try to jump up the corporate ladder as quickly as possible. And, you know, if you guys remember over in the general membership area, there's a lot of content there. I've actually got one of his books right over there from Robert Kiyosaki. And, you know, one of the biggest things that we talk about over there is, you know, transitioning to becoming an investor, becoming a business, and creating, you know, that lifestyle away from traditional employment so that you have control over your time, your energies, your monies, whatever. And you can leverage yourself and leverage others. But at the same time, you know, there's always a place to start. And for a lot of people, and for a vast majority of people, that is through employment, and it is through getting a job. I think it's important to look at what Hill's saying in this part right here. Because number one, it will really help you if you're searching for a job to get, you know, the best paying, best fit job that you want as fast as possible. But number two, it actually lets you look at principles in the marketplace that you can use and apply to your future endeavors and whatever personal development that you have, whatever actual value you're bringing to the marketplace. You can sort of apply exactly what Hill talks about here as a way to market yourselves, market products or services. I mean, there's so many ways you can apply what's here, even though maybe technically, right, you're not actually, maybe you are out there looking for a job, maybe you aren't out there looking for a job. But I found these very powerful, especially considering like the time frame, right? Like I remember this was written so long ago, before the insane power of stuff like social media marketing. And so because of that, like the stuff here is like raw gold, and if you can apply it, you can really crush it with it in any kind of marketing, or even just, you know, how and when to apply for a position. So I hope you guys find this very valuable, and let's go right over to the computer and start going through it. So he goes through sort of his top 5 principles and skills to develop here. So I'm just going to go through them. So number 1, He talks about employment agencies. Now, care must be taken to select only reputable agencies, the management of which can show adequate records of achievement of satisfactory results, right? So this is like if you're a firm or if you're just a person, right, and you're trying to connect, you would go through like a reputable middleman and use that middleman to get you into your interview and make sure, see if it's a good fit. And if it's a good fit, everyone's happy, you go out and you get your job, right? But it's about creating this very, very reputable, solid connection between the two. And that's where you'll have, this agency come in to connect you, which is super, super powerful. And you can apply this, as an employer, you can apply this as an employee. You can also think about this in terms of capital markets, like what is connecting you to the financial marketplace? What is connecting, the buyer and the seller? So in, some industries, especially in the currency industries, in a peer-to-peer exchange, you'll just trade directly with somebody else based on, market spot price, right? We talk about this in, I think it's chapter 17 of 9 to noon, where we're looking at, the current price the market pays is X much, this is how much money it is. And so you can have individuals that just transact on a one-to-one basis. But there are also certain instances where you'll go through something like an exchange, right? So you might go here, they might go here, and then they'll get a little bit of a fee out of it since they're acting as a middleman, right? So it makes you think, if you want to go through the process or whatever it is you're doing, you want to make sure that you're finding the best way to connect with the other party, the other end of the transaction, right? And use that as a way to just make whatever it is you want done happen, right? So, whatever project you're working on, is if you're trying to get in front of people, and especially new people maybe that you don't know, make sure that you have maybe sort of like a connector between the two that you can use as fuel to grow that relationship. One of the best ways to do that is through an agency, which is very, very, very powerful. Yeah? Cool. All right, number 2, advertising. All right, so this is, in newspapers, trade journals, magazines, and on the internet. I'm very surprised it says that. Classified advertising may be relied upon to produce satisfactory results in the case of those who apply for clerical ordinary salary position. Display advertising, in the case of those with executive connections, to copy and appear in the section of a paper most likely to come to the attention of the class the employers being sought. In preparation of advertising, always make sure you have an expert who understands how to actually sell and write good, copy that's going to entice people into like actually buying their products and services or coming in to get that interview, right? You want to be compelling. This is pretty funny. You're looking at some of the older ways of advertising here, but basically, right, you want to think about how can you get whatever it is that you're doing, and if you're trying to get a job, right, you're trying to sell yourself. If you're an employer, you're trying to sell a position. You want to go out to the marketplace and get in front of as many people as possible, and so just figure out, the best way to do that, and understand that if you're an employer, spending cash on advertising. Or if you're a person, maybe trying to apply to as many positions as possible, right? It just depends on, time versus money, right? Like if you want to spend money to get in front of people, or if you want to invest your time and use work to get in front of people. Either way, you want to get in front of as many people as possible, because you don't know, what this percent, maybe there's like a 7% chance that you get your desired result, right? So you might need to go through 10, 20 people to actually get the result that you want from the marketplace, and that's totally cool. It's all about getting it done. And you see the same thing happen in markets, right? If you got to trade maybe 3 or 4 stocks to get a really big winner, then you just have to go through the process over and over and over, and put the time in, put the money in, and use that as fuel, so that when you're here, you're actually, even if you're going through no's and no's and no's and no's, eventually you're going to get to that yes. And then use that as a tool to go back and say, how can I turn this into a yes? How can I turn this into a yes? And sometimes that means making another trade. Sometimes that means, coming back and saying, hey, I got this offer. Do you want to match it? That's especially powerful if you're looking for, sort of like the highest paying job or the best suited position for your skills, and you want to leverage the ability, right? Like if you go to 100 people, you say, hey, we're running this event, and the first 20, 30, 40, 50 people say no. But then you get this one guy at the end who says yes. Now you can go back and say, hey, we've got this one guy on board. Would you like to join now that he's on board? And then you get another yes, and it just starts to grow and grow and grow and grow. So at the beginning, there's very little growth, but after you get that first spike, all of a sudden you're off to the races, right? You're gonna crush it. And by leveraging that yes, turn more and more people on your side, in your team, and grow as a group so that everyone's gonna have success, everyone's gonna win, and you get that desired outcome that you want, whatever it is. And it's all by using that group mentality and growing through, your marketing, your advertising, which is, sort of like some of the, I talk a whole lot more about that over in the general area, but like just getting in front of people, super important part, and the way to, escape that trap of obscurity, right, when no one knows about you, and therefore nobody's, offering you whatever you want, right, which sucks. All right, number 3, right? Personalization. So here we're looking specifically at applying for a job, right? So personal letters of application directed to particular firms or individuals most likely to need the services being offered. Letters should be neatly typed, always, and signed by hand. With the letter should be sent a complete CV, right, since you're applying for a job, or an outline of the applicant's qualifications. With the letter of application and the CV should be prepared with advice from an expert, right? So this is really about getting very, very specific and tailored information to the people, since if you're looking for a job, right, the employer looking at, because essentially, right, if you look at anybody in the marketplace that you're selling anything to, be it yourself, be it a product, be it a service, a lot of times the number one thing you can get in front of them is information, right, and let them, consume that information, right? So this, video, right, like this is information. You're consuming this information. Like people like to consume information. So if you can get, for example, here is like a very high quality CV or something, right? Like CV qualifications, and give somebody something that they can sit down, read, enjoy, long quality, very nice stuff in front of them, and they check, goes over all their check marks, shows why you're amazing. There's a really great example later where, somebody sent in an amazing CV, and they just instantly got hired, right? And that's so powerful. And there's a little bit more he talks about in just a minute, which we'll get to, about how to write a really good application, really good CV. I'm not a huge fan of like, this is how you get jobs, right? Because really, you're looking for financial freedom, but very important stool, very important step to get there. So we'll get to that in just a minute, but it's important to make sure you follow the formula, which we'll get to in just a minute, and then also use that as fuel to really connect, right? So he says sign it, which is super important. He also talks about like getting it freaking done, and like one of the best ways to do that, right, is to just tailor it to the person, right? So if they're like in the aerospace industry, you would talk more about that versus another letter versus to somebody that's maybe in like the consumer surplus or the computer industry, something like that. You want to make sure that you apply it to them so that they feel that connection, and then when you make that connection between you two, all of a sudden you're just upping your chances of having that conversion, having this job landed, whatever you want done, making it happen, because you gave them the proper information to consume that was relevant to them through your application, right? So really important stuff there, and like I said, we'll develop that just a little bit more in a second, which is super awesome stuff. Definitely a little bit higher level, right? Like if you're just trying to get a job at McDonald's, like, is that really your goal, right? Like, what do you want to achieve with that? So it's really enabling you to get sort of the higher quality stuff that you want, and then using that as a way to grow and succeed and develop yourself through this process, right? So number 4, application through personal acquaintances, right? So this would be like a connection. When possible, you should try to approach prospective employers through some sort of mutual acquaintance. This method of approach is particularly advantageous in the case of those who seek executive connections and do not wish to appear to be peddling themselves, right? So this is super, super powerful. I'm going to look at how we can apply this in about 2 or 3 industries, but we'll start with this one right now because it's really important, right? If you have this middleman and, he is coming with you into this office, and you go up to the boss guy and you say, hey, look, I know this cool guy, whoever, he's coming in, and he's been working here for a while. You've got a connection, right? He's an insider, and he says, look, this guy's really cool, you should give him a chance. And this guy's like, all right, sick, yeah, let's talk, right? And so by having that inside connection, it gets you in the door so much faster, right? And that's really the big goal, right, is to get your foot in the door. So if you can get your foot in the door, all of a sudden you're ahead of like 99% of people, right? So you can use that as fuel to really, get the interview going, get your information in front of him, get your cover letter, get your CV, get all the amazing stuff that you want in front of this guy, and then use that to secure the position, secure the deal, whatever it is that you want to do by having this mutual introduction so that you're both starting off on the right foot, and it's not just like this cold, hey, you should consider me for this position. Instead, you're coming of this elevated position, this elevated stature. If you look at it on the scale, right, like if you just walk in the door and you say, look, I'd like to apply for this job, that's such a fundamentally different approach than having, somebody that already works there, somebody who used to work there, someone who, is very well connected there, come in and say, look, I recommend learning more about this person and how they could potentially be a fit with whatever it is that you do. And then that's just such a much better place to start with, because all of a sudden you are on a higher level, and that's going to help, not only the interviewing, right, so that you're able to better get leverage in it, so maybe you have a better chance of actually getting that position or closing that deal, whatever it is, but also starting off maybe at a higher level. So instead of starting off here at the bottom, maybe you start off a little bit higher. Maybe you start off closer to where the person that recommended you is, because the person subconsciously associates you with that higher level acquaintance, that person that connected you to. And so because you have that personal acquaintance, all of a sudden they might want to start you off closer to where they are, maybe even surpass where they are. A really, really great example of this, I was taking this course, and this guy, is a little bit older, so, but it's in like the affiliate marketing space and online marketing. And what happened was this guy, he was working in a network, right? In this network, what they did is they took companies, and companies, they would want to sell stuff, and so you would have like a bunch of companies. And remember, guys, companies are just people, right? People and pieces of paper. Companies are just big collections of people. And they would go and say, hey, look, I would really like to sell my product or service. So they went to this company called, an affiliate manager. And the affiliate managing company, they would take all this stuff together and they'd say, all right, awesome. And then they would connect with a bunch of individual people called affiliates, right? And it's just like affiliate marketing. And then these guys would go out and they would sell everything. They would sell, they'd get in front of people. This would be like the general consumer would go to the affiliates would sell the products, and then these guys get their money and they get like a kickback, right? And it all is facilitated through this affiliate management company. And this was a while ago, a little bit before, the explosive takeoff of the internet. So what would happen is there would be people here and they would manage these affiliates, right? So these are the guys that would take in the deals and then send them over to the affiliates, and they would get very, very specific. Like this guy would manage 3 people over here, and so everyone had their people that they knew. And because of that, it was important that they had a personal connection. These guys, the management company at the affiliate center, they had a very, very personal connection with the people over here that were actually selling the product in the general to the population, right? And so what happened is there was this guy, and he was super huge. I mean, he was just crushing. He was making a ton of money as an affiliate, right? And so because of that, he had his person over here, and this guy over here, he said, hey, look, I'm gonna connect you with the best deals possible from our network of people that are actually selling stuff. And that's what he did, right? He did that for years and years and years. And because this guy over here had a strong relationship with this manager, they had, mutual trust. This guy sent him deals, and they made a bunch of money together because, one person makes money, the other person makes money. Everyone was they were having a great time. Very, very powerful stuff. And so after a little bit, this guy's name was Anthony, right? Anthony goes and he says, hey, I want to teach what I'm doing to some people. And so that's what he does, right? He goes out and he finds his friend, and he teaches his friend how to do this same thing, right? Affiliate marketing. He teaches him how to, generate income online, blah, 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 which is awesome, right? Super cool training. And he goes to him and says, hey, look, this is what I do. He's looking at like online marketing and using online marketing to get in front of people, sell them other people's products and services that they would have bought anyway, but then be, the affiliate in that sale and get a commission, and then, create essentially like an online business out of that, right? That's what he's all about, is creating this online business. So he teaches him, hey, this is how you create an online business, right? And he teaches him all the steps that he uses and everything that he does. And then he goes over to his affiliate manager and says, hey, I want to introduce you to my friend. I think his name was Taylor, right? So he says, hey, look, I want to introduce you to him. I know I've been working with you for a long time, and now I've just shared with my friend how to create this online business, and I would love to connect him with you so that you can share these affiliate offers with him, and he can start to sell these products and services for the people that you represent. So that's what he did, right? So this guy, Taylor goes and he works with the affiliate manager, and just like Anthony's selling stuff, Taylor starts to sell stuff, and Taylor starts to grow and grow and grow. But what Taylor did was really interesting. They were both working to create a strong relationship with this affiliate manager, because essentially, this guy, he would get special deals every once in a while, and he had to pick maybe one or two people to share those special deals with. So if the people over here, if they had this really big offer they were promoting, and they wanted to share it with just a couple of very special people, right? Because it was a very specific, limited time, super big product launch, which is how a lot of the companies that used to work in this space along, a little bit ago, where there were like, really affiliate management companies, they would use this as special promotion, right? So this guy over here as the manager, he would get these special promotions, and he could give them to just one or two people, and those one or two people would be expected to drive a bunch of sales, make a lot of money with them. And it was a very great opportunity for basically everyone involved, because the person he connected with would make a lot of money, he would make a lot of money, and then obviously the company he represented would make a lot of money. So after like 4 months of working with Anthony and Taylor, like, these guys are both working, right? They're both sending this guy, notes every day. They're saying like happy birthday to him. They're following up with him. They're trying to create a great relationship with him, because like I said, their income basically comes from this guy, right? Who's connecting them with the companies that really do pay them. So because of that, they're both working. But this guy, he starts to take a liking to Taylor a little bit more than Anthony, even though Anthony's been doing this for years and years and make millions and millions of dollars for both himself, and then obviously like some of that goes back onto this guy over here. This guy, he started to like Taylor just a little bit more after just a couple of months. It was just his personality, it was how he acted, it was the connection they had. And you got to remember, right, the reason that Taylor even got his foot in the door is because of Anthony, right? So Anthony gets his foot in the door, but Taylor starts to grow and grow and grow, and these guys have a much stronger connection because he was able to start. He was able to start because of Anthony, but then he grew on his own. He grew with himself and his own personality and his own connection with this guy. And so there was this massive new launch, and in this new launch, there was this new product, and it was for a very limited time. It was from this network of people selling stuff, right? And it goes over to this manager right here, and the manager says, you know what? Even though Anthony's been with me for years, even though Anthony has been making me money already, even though Anthony introduced me to Taylor, I'm actually going to give this really huge opportunity over to Taylor. So he gives this massive opportunity to Taylor. And then Taylor uses the education that Anthony gave and built his online business to go out there and get in front of a ton of people, and then sell all of them this very special limited time offer. And because of that, Taylor makes a bunch of money, the manager makes a bunch of money, the company makes a bunch of money, and Anthony's just sitting over here left in the dust like, what the heck just happened? And he's like, what the heck, man? Because he'd been trying to work for this offer for the same amount of time, right? Everyone wanted this offer. But this new guy got it, and the reason he got it is because he was in the position, through his personal connection with somebody that was already working as a promoter, he was able to get his products and services, right? His influence, right? His influence was much easier to sell because he had that inside connection. That inside connection let him get started and let him grow significantly faster than most people in that space, all because he had, this quality education, and then also on top of that, this jumpstart for his growth with this person, right? So even though he was newer, he had this connection, and so the manager, he fundamentally thought, hey, look, this guy, he was subconsciously connecting him and Anthony, right? So if this guy introduces this guy, all of a sudden these people are on a very similar level of positioning, even though Anthony had been doing this for years and years, and this guy was Taylor, was almost completely new, brand new. Taylor was actually able to leverage this and go out there and apply it, and all of a sudden he was at that same positioning as the person who referred him over into the new company and started that new relationship, all from the beginning of this growth. So that's really the power of a personal acquaintance in relationship building. Obviously here this would be like a sales position, which is super powerful, where you're looking at person-to-person connections, and using those connections as fuel really to just grow the relationship. And then obviously here it was a business partnership, so they were making a lot of money together. Now there's one last example of this application, and it's much less personal and much more business driven, marketing driven, and it applies with something called direct mail, right? So mailing special offers, right? So maybe this is like, I have like the book, right? Like if I want to sell 9 to Noon, right? If I send 1,000 people a flyer that says, hey, create quality real savings and retirements, financial security, education, everyone's super happy, grow your life, expand everything you do, and uncover the secrets of the uber wealthy. Get your copy today at 9secrets.com. Like, that's super cool, right? Like, just like a sales letter, like that. If I go out and I mail that to, say, 1,000 people, you got to understand, like, how many of those people, first of all, like, do they even know me? Do they like me? Do they trust me? Who knows, right? Obviously, I might do better if I had a list of people I knew were interested in me and I could mail it directly to them. But let's say, for just sake of argument, right, I'm mailing this to just a bunch of 1,000 random people, and it costs me like 50 cents per mailer. So, 1,000 people, 50 cents, $500, right? I would have to sell a whole lot of books to break even on that, right? Or maybe courses, trainings, whatever, right? So, because of that, it kind of matters that I, turn a profit on it. So if you look at, like, people are doing this every single day. Like, people get junk mail every single day, right? Where people are just trying to sell them stuff. And that, it happened because it freaking works, right? Like, people make money with it, and it keeps happening over and over and over because it works at a fundamental level. It's an effective way to advertise, right? Is to just use direct mail. But when we think about this application through personal acquaintance, when we think about this connection idea, there's a way that these mailing companies will drastically increase response using this principle, right? So what they'll do is, instead of it just being this letter that says, hey, come buy my product, rather there'll be like 2 letters, right? So the first letter might be something where, same thing, I say, hey, here's the product or service I'm offering, here's my long form sales letter where I'm telling you all the amazing things that you're going to get from it. And then a second letter would be from a publishing company, right? So this might be, if all of these people subscribed to, just say for example, like the New York Times, right? And they get the paper edition of the New York Times. All right, makes sense? If the New York Times comes and they write a letter and they say, hey, we've been looking at, books and articles in the personal finance and investing space, and we think that this very special offer exclusively to New York Times subscribers is something that you would really be interested in. Highly recommend it. Would love for you to check it out. Signed by the marketing director, the CEO of New York Times, something like that. And then underneath that, you have just that same original sales letter that or whoever wrote, right? Like the advertiser wrote. It's the exact same letter, but all of a sudden you have an acquaintance, you have another person connecting you to, and because of that connection, instead of going in cold, instead of it just you, now you have this third party that's connecting you to, and that third party creates trust. It establishes a relationship beforehand, and it lets you have a much larger impact on this crowd over here than would have been if it was just you cold going in and saying, hey, come buy this stuff, you're really gonna love it, right? You want to have that connection, and that connection is going to drastically increase your response, increase the the profits from it, and allow you to access that new audience of people, right? So for you, who is it that you want to connect with, and what's the audience that they have connections with that you can then leverage to create the impact that you want in the marketplace, right? So if you want to get in front of a whole bunch of like dentists, right? Who can you connect with that knows a whole bunch of dentists, and then use that as a way to push up your offer, right? So instead of it just you, now you have this connection, now you have this industry insight, and that's going to increase the trust that you have with whatever it is that you're buying or selling, or product, service, whatever it is that you do. Even if you're trying to sell yourself as an employee, this is a very important and powerful way to grow your company, grow your business, and grow yourself for whatever it is that you do. So just by putting in a little bit of extra effort, by getting in front of these people, just a little bit of extra effort, by finding this mutual connection, you're going to have a drastically better rate of response for whatever you're doing, and suddenly be able to get into a position where you're taking jobs that maybe weren't originally out in the marketplace. You're selling people that maybe weren't originally in the market for something, but you know that you're going to do a great job at your job, or you know that your product or service is going to serve people extremely well. It's just a very powerful way to expand your sphere of influence and create that impact that you want, all based on this idea of a connection beforehand, and using that connection as a way to leverage yourself, other people, and grow to crush it with whatever it is that you're doing. Very powerful concept. So let's go over number 5, last one. Application in person, right? In some instances, it may be more effective if applicants offer their services personally to protect employers. In such cases, a complete written statement of the qualifications for the position should be presented so that the prospective employer may discuss an applicant's record with associates. I mean, guys, you gotta remember, like, the most powerful thing you can do is be with somebody face to face, talking in person. I mean, this is like the top of the ladder. With connection. And if you want to have an impact on people, if you want to get something done, you want to be at the top of the ladder, right? So here would be like the social ladder, the connection ladder, social connection ladder, right? So if you want to get to the top of the ladder, you want to be in person with people, you want to be connecting with them, you want to be face to face, direct contact. That's really the most powerful way to create a connection with people. And here's kind of a really powerful idea. Like, if you want to market, if you want to get in front of people, if you want to maybe start your online business. I know I talked a little bit about Anthony today, Anthony Morrison. Very, very powerful trainings that he does, and the education he does is amazing. I'll link my review video of one of his programs, partnered with Anthony program, below. That program, amazing. It fundamentally shifted like the entire way I look at online business. Highly recommend you guys check that out. One of the concepts that I leveraged through that program, that I actually developed through some of the amazing Grant Cardone training I've gone through, is this idea of different levels of connection. So at the bottom, you might have, well, it's not, you might, like at the bottom, right, there's like email, right? So sending people emails, and you'll use that as a way to start establishing a relationship. And then after you have emails, you can start to leverage, the phone, right? So this would be like cell phone, text, right? Text people, right? And texting people is a really great way to have sort of like a deeper level of connection than an email, because you open text more than you would normally open just like normal emails, right? Because it's just a little bit closer. And you can also text people like images, or you can text them, obviously text, to just kind of separate yourself from email. And then you can use this cell phone as a way to actually send maybe a personal video, right? So this is something I do all the time, right? Is using a personal video, so like a selfie video, and saying, hey, what's up, you're awesome, giving a connection with people, using sort of like, general follow-up that Grant teaches, to really create this connection with them and get in front of them and build a connection with them, build rapport through, personal video, maybe like a share an article, right? So share an article or something. You share an article through email. Maybe if you email somebody, you text him or you give him a call and you say, hey, just sent you this email. I want you to check it out. I think you'll get a lot of value from it. This is a very, very powerful way to build up to this personal meeting. I forgot that guy didn't have any arms. Build up to this personal meeting, right? Is to have this baseline connection with them. And then obviously once you have, like if you can call people, like just grow a pair and like get on the phone, that voice, that auditory connection is going to separate you from 99% of people, because most people aren't going to call, a prospective employer, a prospective client over and over. Call repetitively, right? And leave messages, right? You want to leave your message because, if you call someone, most of the time, like a 3% chance that they'll answer. You want to have that backup plan of what to do if stuff goes wrong. You want to have that plan of how to connect with them and leave an impact on them, even if maybe you don't necessarily have the ability to meet with them at that very specific moment in time. You can still leave an impact on them, still leave a message, and just call them over and over and over. I've called somebody, for some of the work I do with nonprofits and financial education, there was this one connection that I made with a marketing director at Georgia Tech, a very, very powerful professor. I never had his classes because I'm not studying marketing, since I just kind of do that in the marketplace, more in computer engineering, and then it's just something you only learn in school for most of it. And I called him 36 times over the course of 3 days, left a message every single time. And every single time it was something different, it was something unique, it was something special, it was something trying to build a rapport, build a relationship. Never answered the phone call until I sent him, trying to schedule a phone call, trying to schedule a 20-30 minute discussion with him so that we could talk face to face, right, about this opportunity, this thing we were going to grow. And spoiler alert, it was a success, because I sent him a video. I was like, hey, let's meet up, let's talk, what dates work for you? And he's like, hey, I'm working on school, I've got finals. And I say, oh, awesome, let's meet, this day at this time, definite date, definite time. Booked it. 3 weeks later, had the appointment, knocked it out of the park, crushed it, right? But remember, right, it's like you've got to be there over and over. You got to text, email, call over and over, build this connection. And that's really that powerful basis, right? This is like the basis for that relationship. Start to develop it, put in a bunch of work up front. All of a sudden, you're going to reap the rewards on the other side when you get in front of people, close the deal, and make it happen with whatever it is you're doing. It's super, super, super powerful stuff, and that's kind of why you would follow up with people. So you have email, right? Calling, texting, and then video messages are huge. Having that personal connection, putting in the time to be with people, and then on top of that, right? And then you have like direct mail, right? So like a letter, like people, I don't get a whole lot of stuff in the mail. You get junk mail, but like you get a letter from a friend, or you get a letter from somebody that you know, or someone you met online. They type it out and they're like, "Hey, I'm sending you this letter. Watch out for it in the mail." Like, that's so freaking cool. Like, you send them mail, and then you open up the mail, and everyone's so excited. You send them a mail, send them a letter, maybe send them a freaking package. Look, there is not a chance in the world that I'm going to get a package and not open it. Nobody gets a package and doesn't open it. If you send somebody a package, and you have like a little thing inside, maybe it's like a little trinket, or maybe it's like, "Hey, look at this awesome, cool surprise that I made for you. It's super amazing. Come check it out." That's going to build that relationship. They're going to say, "Wow, that guy's so freaking cool. He sent me a letter. He sent me a package. He sent me something of value in my life. I really appreciate that," right? And then maybe sending like a personal note, like a handwritten note. Like nobody sends handwritten notes, right? So if you can distinguish yourself from 99% of people and like actually build rapport with the people you want to get in front of, send them, just go the extra mile and send notes, send mail, send like a cheap package, but it's not like it's something that's cool and quirky and valuable to them, right? It's something nobody's sending me. Like if someone sent me like a little $5 trinket, like that would be so valuable to me, because it's like, wow, the perceived value of that is so much more than the value that just the little nominal amount of money that was spent on that. And it's going to just create an insane level of trust, and rapport is a really important part, because people, if you give to them, they'll naturally want to give back to you and contribute to you. And so that's sort of the basis of all of this down here, is to create this rapport so that the person you're working with decides that they want to give you a shot, they want to give you that interview, they want to close that deal with you, whatever it is. It's all based on creating this level of satisfaction, happiness down here that's going to lead them to say, "Hey, look, I want to get this done. Let's make it happen. I'm here for you. We're a team. Let's go hard on it." And then transitioning into, especially with higher level deals, that personal visit, right? That personal visit. Is if you can get in front of people, that's really the most powerful way you can connect with them and use that, as the number one way to go out there and crush it with them, all based on walking up this social ladder, going up this level of growth that all stems from this internal ability to really connect with people through all means possible of follow-up. Very, very powerful stuff. If you guys are in sales, if you guys are in marketing, and you're really like closing individual clients, I'm going to link sort of my review or some of that Grant Cardone sales training stuff, because it's very, very, very powerful. That stuff, it's changed the way I look at pretty much everything I do, and it's enabled me to get some really, really nice sales positions in my area to fuel that income, get this stuff going, especially with marketing. This stuff and 9 to noon and financial education. Those are some that's just like the tip of the iceberg with some of the amazing things that you guys can learn through that program if that's what you're into. So I'll link my review below. I'll link all relevant materials. You guys can check it out. Highly recommend it. Very, very powerful stuff. It's really cool. So hey, awesome. Hope you guys take advantage of it. And even if you don't go for it, like, leverage that content below and check it out, because in all reality, just by understanding what's going on there, you're going to have a much better understanding of a sales funnel, and also some of the forms of follow-up that this guy uses, right? Like, I've gotten so many calls from him, I've called him, and like I've seen like the stuff he teaches being used like by his staff, right? So I'll call his offices and they'll use some of the same techniques that they'll train me on to try to close me, and it's so cool. So even if you're interested in like generating or building your online business, or whatever it is you want to do to create that income through a business, a really, really powerful way to study marketing is to get involved in other people's marketing channels. And even if you don't necessarily buy everything they sell, just like being in somebody's, like for me, right? Like I wanted to learn more about how Grant marketed. So what I did was I like subscribed to all of his stuff and all of his newsletters. And then I learned, before I got into programs like this, I would just like read all his emails and be like, oh, okay, so this is how, he's trying to add value and get his products and services in front of more people. And eventually, for higher ticket clients, land in-person deals and qualify them, for whatever, going through the process, the sales process, which he teaches, which is really like going through basically what I just showed you, right? Is going through that sales process, going through, there's a little bit more to it, especially with follow-up. It just kind of depends on what you're marketing and selling, but really trying to get from, cold to contract, right? And just getting it done, getting in the bank, and having the biggest impact, right? Because this is where you're able to better serve your ideal client. And if you can better serve your ideal client, that's just going to make your life so much better. Because now everyone's growing together, everyone's happy with it, everyone's crushing it. And it all comes down to your ability and your commitment to the products and services that you represent or you sell or make or whatever. As an individual or as somebody working maybe in an entity, or maybe you're selling yourself as an employee, it all comes down to sort of this ability to master the sales process and follow up with people. And that's why, Cardone U is super, super cool, powerful stuff. So hey, awesome stuff. I'll link it below. You guys are freaking gonna love it. It's awesome. So I'll tell you what, I'm gonna go through this last section of organized planning. What we're gonna do is we're gonna break down some amazing information in writing an awesome CV. This is going to be really powerful stuff for either you or the people you work with, whatever it is you're doing. Take this, and I know we're pushing the limits here. I know this might be a longer one, but this is going to be really powerful for your ability to go out there, deliver, and really secure this job, secure this position, so you can start to work your way up. You can start to crush it. You start to go out there and kill it, all because this perfect way to really create this CV, right? I mean, it's something you should be careful with. Something if anyone who's selling any services should understand the art and psychology of advertising to present themselves. I mean, I'll be honest, there was this class that I had to take, I was forced to take, at Georgia Tech, GT1000, and this guy came in and, for a fact, right, like, all he had done, and he was like an employee for his whole life, and he was teaching people how to build, like, resumes and cover letters and stuff like that, and, for me, like, it was just this total disconnect, because it's like, look, I do my own stuff, and I love it, and it provides value to so many people, and that's what I'm passionate about. And at the same time, I mean, just the fact that you're like this far into this training series, I mean, it shows that you've got a level of commitment, you have a level of success in your life, coming from your individual ability to really get out there and crush it. Like, it's so amazing, because you gotta remember, right? Like, most people, like, maybe they see some of the stuff I put out there, they see my ads, they see whatever, and they come and they see, like, oh, everyone's saying 9 to noon, like, oh, check out an awesome way to create real savings and retirements, right? And then maybe they order the book. Some people order it, they don't even freaking read the thing, they don't have the audio book, so they don't have like a faster way to go through it, and then they just fall off, right? Like, there's a ton of people here, but all of a sudden, you have less people, and then you get to like that small group of people that actually make it to like my higher level trainings, or my additional, like, higher / additional trainings, like this stuff, right? And they just buy it and they're like, oh my god, this is awesome, secret formula, I'm gonna create massive success, everyone's gonna just be amazing, it's gonna be awesome, right? Because of you sell the results, right? So you sell results, and they're like, yeah, I want those results. But then you get them into this training, and then there's that group of people that actually make it through, that actually consume and apply the content. And that's really, if you're this far into it, that's where you are right now. And that's super powerful, because you're part of this small group of people that actually go through the work, actually make it happen, actually apply it, and use it to impact their lives. And that's where you're going to start to see the results, is when you can use this information to really have the impact that you want on whatever it is that you do, and maybe take action with some of these additional trainings. If you're driven, you're out there crushing it, you're this far into it, then obviously it shows through whatever you're doing that you're going to create these results. You're going to get this education, apply it, crush it, and that's really powerful. So hey, good job, guys. Freaking doing an amazing job. I'm going to go through this last section here and we'll be done for this module. So super exciting stuff. I hope you guys get a ton of value from it and take advantage of some of those awesome resources below. So with that said, let's get right into it. So number 1, education. Right? If you're going to write your amazing cover letter, you want to make sure that these guys know your education. Briefly and definitely, let them know your schooling, let them know your specializations. Specializations are huge, right? Because this is where, people hire. You're not going to get hired. If you look at doctors, right? Like, one of the hardest things you can do is become a doctor. So much schooling. General practitioners are going to get paid a lot less than culinary heart surgeons specializing in cancer removal from the in tibia or something, right? Like, these very unique positions are the ones that are going to have the highest rewards, right? Because you're niche specific, and you're also able to better tackle that one specific area that someone needs help with. And if you can solve that one problem for them, and that one problem is worth a lot of money to them, they're going to reward you with a lot of money. And that's what you see across so many fields. So you want to emphasize that specialization with your education and whatever it is that you do, like why you specialize, what you're passionate about. Obviously, something that really helps here is to have an overarching long-term goal with your secret formula, right? Which we established in like the secret formula. That's going to be a very great way to instantly be specialized, because all of a sudden everything is much more clear with whatever you do, right? Because instead of saying, hey, look, I just want this job to have an income or whatever, right? Like, you're showing them, hey, I've got this purpose, I have this thing I'm working towards, this is what I'm passionate about. And that's going to create a much deeper level of specialization in the field, to be able to use that to score, whatever it is you want with them, the company, the position, whatever it is, go out there, crush it, get in on it, and take advantage of that positioning. Very powerful concept. Obviously, after education, as important, if not more important, I'd say this is probably the, I don't know why they put it as number 2. This is super cool. If you have experience and connection with a position similar to the one you seek, describe it fully, citing names and addresses of former employees, and be sure to bring out, obviously, any special expertise that you may have, which would equip you to fill the position you seek, right? So specialized and relevant experience. Huge, right? This is massive. You're showing them, hey, look, I worked at this company that's very similar to your company. I did this thing which is very specialized, and we had a very great result because of it. I can do that same thing for you. Look at how it worked over here. That's how it can work over here, right? You show them through experience that, like, what you're doing. You're not just someone coming out of school, someone, faking it or something. Like, you've done it before. Make it happen. Sometimes you have to make it happen for yourself. So for me, with portfolio management, right? Like, I wasn't able to, at like freaking 15, 16, 7, whatever, like 15. When I was 15, like, I couldn't just go get a job as a stockbroker or an asset manager, somewhere. Like, there's no freaking way. So I went out into the marketplace and I just did it, crushed it, doubled my portfolio in 2 years with swing trading. It's amazing. And then I'm able to take that result and say, look, guys, this is crazy powerful. This is what I was able to do with minimal effort. Like, look at all this amazing opportunity, all this stuff here, all from, asset markets and learning the power. For me, like, the power of technical analysis, which is just huge, changed my life. Whole life was radically shifted when I figured out how to leverage technical analysis of financial markets to make tons of bank, right? So looking maybe more at experience rather than saying, yeah, I just got my my degree in finance, graduated from, wherever, but it's like, okay, well, how can you apply that, right? So for a lot of times, you can get a starter position, you get a job somewhere and apply it there, or get a position for yourself and apply it while you're learning it. I think a really, really powerful example of this is Tony Robbins. Tony, he was learning about neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. I'm not going to try to spell neuro-linguistic programming. And he was working with this group of people, and they were all like professionals in the space, and they were learning and training and gaining their education. And Tony went out and he said, wow, this stuff is freaking amazing. He went over to like a local bar, and he was like, in a span of 10 or 20 minutes, getting people to quit smoking, getting people to, change lifelong bad habits. By using the power of neuro-linguistic programming. Super, super cool stuff. There's some amazing books on NLP. I'll link some of those reviews below. They're awesome. I would highly recommend you guys check out some of those book reviews. They're amazing. Just really, really powerful concept. And just amazing application, right? So Tony, he went and he was, solving all these problems for people. He was creating results. And then he went back to these guys and he said, guys, look at this, right? I just helped all these people change their lives through NLP. And they're like, dude, Tony, like, that's not good. You can't do that, man. You're not certified. You're not professional yet. And he's like, dude, what do you mean? I'm working on my education right now, but I want to get experience with it. And I just was able to help all these people through the education that I've been working on. And he's like, dude, this is so powerful. This is awesome. Like, this is so cool. You guys got to let me help these people. And these guys were like, no, can't do it. They freaking kicked this guy out because he was actually out there getting his experience. Now, obviously, Tony Robbins, he's taken NLP to a whole nother level and freaking changed the lives of so millions and millions of people through the power of NLP, right? So, like, he went out there, he applied it, he took his experience, and he used that to create value in the marketplace, sell seminars, sell books, sell courses, sell trainings. All that came from this experience over the education because it was specialized and it was relevant, and he had results that he could sell, right? He could sell results. All of a sudden, he had this whole new people that were like, yeah, I want to get in on this. I want what you're selling, man. And so he was actually able to outperform all of these professionals because he had that experience in the marketplace. Experience is worth tremendously more than education, because remember, you have like education, general knowledge, then you have application of that knowledge. And when you can apply it, you can apply your education, all of a sudden you're able to create your wisdom, right? So wisdom comes from application. Remember, we talked about this before. That's where you have the most value, right? This education, this application is worth a lot, but once you master it, that's where you're going to have that huge payoff in the end. And that's how it worked for Tony, right? So he started with education, then he applied it, and he went full in. He had to go all in. He had to quit the program and like just apply it and keep learning on his own and keep learning through experience. And that experience created a tremendous amount of specialized wisdom from his actual practices in the marketplace rather than education, right? So this is where you really want to focus on and just make it happen, right? Is to get your experience, get it in, make it happen, get it done. Trainings like this are awesome. Take it, freaking apply it, work towards that overarching long-term goal, and crush it, right? And have just narrow focus of like, I'm gonna go and do it. Same thing, right? Like with these books below and the trainings and the courses and all this amazing stuff below. Like, you want to make sure you use that stuff. That stuff is amazing. And then go through it, have this whole new aspect, right? So like maybe you're right here, you're in this box, and you want to expand your knowledge. So maybe right now, obviously I'm teaching you about personal development, teaching you about the stock market, teaching you about investments, teaching you about assets, personal finance and investing. Maybe you want to expand that sphere of influence into online businesses, right? So this might be personal finance, and then you want to grow into this new field of like online business, right? And so it's totally cool when you do this, right, to have this new aspect, because now you're growing yourself as a person, you're expanding your abilities holistically to change fundamentally everything that you have and everything that you do. And if you can keep growing yourself with different things, maybe this is like marketing, right? I teach a lot of stuff. I've done a lot of work in online marketing, right? Suddenly you're able to expand yourself. You're able to grow, your whole body, right? So now instead of maybe, if you think about a muscle, right? Like if you want to grow a muscle, you freaking work it, right? And it starts off small. I'm gonna try to draw an arm here. It's gonna be really, really good. Oh gosh, this was not really, really good. I'm sorry. But if you want to grow that muscle, right, you just keep working, keep adding mass. And when you add that mass, all of a sudden, it's going to be much bigger, much more valuable in the marketplace, right? Because you grow it, you grow it, you grow it. And now that you've focused on growing it, you can start to apply it. You can start punching stuff, and you're going to have much more power than someone who just starts off at the base and doesn't really, grow themselves. If you can keep growing, all of a sudden the power, the impact you have will be so much greater that you can do what might take somebody 10 punches to punch down. You do it in 1 or 2 punches, right? You're 10 times more effective because you put in the work up front, put in this upfront effort, and this upfront effort leads to significantly easier results throughout the rest of your life, rather than maybe if you don't put in this upfront effort, all of a sudden you have to work at a much higher level, right? You're putting in, 15 hours a day versus 1.5 hours a day, right? It just depends on whatever it is that you're doing, and how you want to leverage yourself in your online business, or your personal finances, your investments, financial freedom, all that amazing stuff. There was, Money Master the Game, right? Huge book by Tony Robbins, where, he talks about, obviously there's like the 4% rule, which I talk about in 9 to noon, which is just huge. Most financial advisors, he really talks more about achieving like financial freedom, right? And by using financial, he doesn't really go as much into, like the actual assets, like in 9 but he has some really amazing information in there about, creating massive returns without the downside of those returns, right? So he looks maybe at without downside. One of the most powerful concepts I got from that book was something called fixed index annuities. And I think I'll probably talk more about those over in the general membership area. But that's just one of the many things that is in Money Master the Game. Really amazing book. I'll link the review of it below. But he talks about stuff like fixed income annuities, and other. There's this one thing called you have this document, right? It's called a market linked CD, and you'll have like the upside of the market. You'll get maybe like 90% of the market return, but you have a guaranteed asset, right? So if the market goes down, you have 0% loss. And for the firms that sell them, obviously in the long term, the market's going to keep going up and up. Even after a crash, it's still going to keep going up, right? But if you're like 60 or 70, you're nearing your retirement age, it makes sense to take something like this over maybe a bond, for instance, because now you can have all this gain, you can keep having consistent income, but you don't have to worry about the downside, which is awesome. It's so cool. It doesn't make sense for like a 40, 50-year time horizon, but it makes tremendous sense for like a 5 or 10-year horizon, because now you can leverage the returns of the market without the downside, which is really cool. So yeah, fixed index annuities. There are some other amazing things. Like I said, I'll talk more about those over in the general membership area, just because I think everyone should have access to that, because it is really powerful. But yeah, I would definitely recommend you see that book review below. Get yourself a copy of Money Master the Game, Tony Robbins. Amazing book, freaking changed my life. It's awesome. Just the way I look at, I'm not there yet, but once I get to a point where it's like, I really want to be a little more conservative, I have a lot more wealth to preserve, these are really powerful ways to apply that. And even just growing to get there, if you don't want to put in as much effort as I put in to really time the markets and make amazing investments over and over, there's some really great ways to do it without the risk, and then obviously with proper asset allocation to really grow yourself, your portfolio, everything you do the way that you want, just by coming out there and saying, hey, look, this is how we're gonna crush it, this is the way to financial freedom. And then also figuring out how much money you actually need for financial freedom based on market returns. That's something that not a lot of people teach, and it's a very powerful concept to say, like, hey, look, how much would the rental payment be, or the mortgage be on like your dream home? Okay, why don't we add that to your dream car? Why don't we add that to your dream vacations, right? And then obviously like utilities, necessities, food, like going out, food, groceries, entertainment, and then taking all of this together and saying, look, if you had the most amazing life in the entire world, how much would all of this cost you per month, right? And then once you figure that out, you figure out how much you want per year. And then once you know how much you want per year, you can figure out how much money needs to be in your portfolio for you to generate like a 5% return, take out that 5%, and then have that 5% pay for your yearly expenses with very, very minimal. Honestly, like using these tactics that he talks about, essentially you're looking at just like no effort whatsoever, minimal effort, to create this dream lifestyle, all based on your ability to accumulate this nest egg and then use that nest egg to pay off for your lifestyle, pay off whatever it is that you want, all based on this ability to get the returns, and then use those to create financial freedom. Because all of a sudden, if you're making $100,000 a year passively through your investments, and your dream lifestyle costs $70,000 a year, which for most people is huge, figure out maybe exactly how much like you could seriously spend. Because at a certain point, I think Tony says it's 75 grand a year. People stop having, they kind of lose, they don't know much more to spend their money on. They run out of stuff to buy. So for a lot of people, like this is such a powerful way to create freedom, because if you have all this money coming in, all of a sudden, you don't need to work. If everything you could ever want is being paid for, now you can focus on your passions. You can focus on your growth. You can focus on your development. You can focus on working towards your overarching long-term goals with no distractions. Very, very, very powerful. And that's sort of like one of the biggest things Tony teaches in Money Master the Game. It's just awesome. There's so much in that book. It's freaking gold. I love it. So like I said, yeah, book review below. Highly recommend it. It's awesome, awesome stuff. So with that said, let's go over to number 3 for your CV. All right, so bam. All right, cool. References. All right, practically every business firm desires to know all about the previous records of prospective employees who seek positions of responsibility. Be prepared to present to the employer, if asked, the names of people who can provide information about your experience and capabilities, such as former employers, teachers under whom you studied, prominent people whose judgment may be relied upon, stuff like that, right? So, really associating yourself with a mastermind of people, like we'll talk about once we get closer to the masterminds, right? Like if these are all the people that you've worked for and they're uber successful, they're awesome, awesome people, and they're like, yeah, and you worked for them, and you're like, look, these are the jobs I've had, this is the experience I've had, maybe these are some of the clients that I've had, using that as fuel to say, look, I've done stuff for these guys, go check them out, here are their phone numbers, here are their addresses, here are their names, give them a call, and ask them out, say how was this guy, and then they say, yeah, he was awesome, everyone loved him. This is really just creating quality relationships with the people that you used to work with, ending everything on a great foot so they can be an awesome reference, and saying, look, this is the amazing work I've done, here are the results I've brought to them. Employers, teachers, celebrities, stuff like that, people you've worked with, just like show that, like, look, I can get this done, I've done it before, I'm really cool, I promise you I'm really cool, and to show you that I'm really cool, I'm going to give you some references of people that are going to say I'm really cool. Really just, you get this over time, you get this as you're working through it, and you use it to grow, and cool stuff, right? And just make it happen. Never limit yourself. For me, like, there's a recommendation, came from some of my high school teachers to get into college. For you, maybe it's just someone that you gave like a helpful, I don't know, say you sell ice cream, right? Like, just get a couple of video testimonials, people saying like, look, this is the best freaking ice cream in the whole world, right? And you can show that your clients are happy, You can show that your distributors are happy. You can show your employees are happy. You know, whatever it is you're doing, anyone that you're working with, after maybe 3, 4, 6 months of working with them, just say, hey, look, you know, I'd really love to, I really love working with you, having an amazing, amazing time. Just in case in the future, if I'm working with somebody else, would you mind maybe just a short 5-minute video testimonial of your experience working with me to share with them so that they can have the same quality relationship that you're having with me right now? And, you know, 90% of people are going to be like, yeah, you know what? You're an awesome guy. I love working with you. Of course, I'll help you out. Not a problem. And so just use that and have it come up, and always be out there getting testimonials to work towards your overarching long-term goal by allowing you to get in front of people that matters, by leveraging your previous relationships and showing that you're a good guy to work with, people enjoy it, and everyone has fun as a team. Very, very cool thing. Start applying this right now. Pause this video. Freaking pick up the phone and call someone asking for a testimonial just about you, and you're gonna have a tremendously easier time selling yourself. I do this all the time with the book. I'm constantly working with people and saying, hey, look, you read the book, you're amazing, you're awesome, you're above 99% of people in the entire freaking world on personal finance and investments. Look, I wanna know in about a year, you know, give me a call back in a year and tell me, like, how has this worked for you? I always ask people, you know, a year later, like, have you made investments? Have you started growing? Have you started succeeding? And I want to freaking know about it, yes or no. And if it's yes, you're like, wow, that's awesome. Can I get like a video testimonial, right? And you can say, look, I want a testimonial, document the results, right? Results are the most important part. And then if it's no, say, well, okay, well, what's up? What can I do to help you? Like, what stopped you from applying? Or what stopped you from making your first investment? If you made your first investment, what went right? What went wrong? How can we work through this together? And really just trying to connect with that person, whoever it is you're working with, to create a relationship where they'll be like, dude, you've delivered so much value to me. I would love to give you a testimonial. And then that's going to help you sell yourself, sell your products, sell your services. When you have people that are raving fans saying, look, this is what it worked for me, this is how it happened, this is all the amazing impact that it's had on my life, and it'll have a change on yours. It's sort of like the same thing I do right now, like where I recommend books and courses and programs to people. Like, those are all things that I've gone through, taken the time to apply, and have had tremendous impact on myself and my business and my life. You know, people, they didn't like specifically say, look, would you please do this for me? Like, you have to deliver that value up front and then cash in on it in the long run by creating raving fans. Like raving fans, right? You know, that's a really powerful book, and it's just this concept of like getting in front of these people and making them care about you, and then using that as a way to create a reference, create a long-term connection with somebody that you can leverage when you're creating a new position, a new opportunity. So the people know, look, you're a trustworthy guy, you're a cool person, I'll take a chance on you, right? You'll make it happen, and start off with it, which is super, super powerful. And then once they get that initial chance with you, once you get that initial connection, that's when you start to leverage, you start to go into stuff like risk reversal, right? So with risk reversal, you know, it's like free fund guarantee, or maybe if you're an employee, right? Like, you want to reverse the risk of the people that you start to work with. Say, look, I'll work for, you know, 1 week, maybe a month, free, right? And then they'll be like, wow, that's so cool, I get a free trial, that's awesome, right? And then you're delivering this value up front that's taking the risk on for their hands, putting it onto you to deliver. And then, you know, if you work for them for a month and you do an amazing job, like, they're probably going to pay you at the end of the month. And it's changing that mindset and changing that mentality, how you can add value without imposing any additional risk on the people that you work with. It's really, really powerful concept with whatever you do, be it a refund guarantee, personal guarantee. I know for me, I do some crazy guarantees for financial education, because like, that stuff will freaking change your life. And that's why I care so much about it. You know, stuff like that where you can just make it so that the risk is on you, right? If you don't deliver, and you know, if it costs somebody $10,000 to transfer over to your new software platform, maybe say, hey, look, try it out for a month for free. If it doesn't work, I'll give you $20,000 back, completely risk reversed, right? And that's where you have this elevated position in the marketplace based on risk reversal. All because, and right, like here's the important part, is you have total belief and conviction in yourself and your product, right? So now, instead of saying it's the other person's responsibility, it's all on you to deliver. And you have to be confident if you do this in your education, in your experience, in your background, and whatever it is that you do, that you know you're gonna deliver. And you're 100% certain that all of a sudden, like, you're gonna deliver so much value, so ridiculously much value, that they just have no choice but to stick with you, right? And that's where you have this very powerful positioning where you're able to leverage your own delivery skills, your own self. And you just had to get that foot in the door at the beginning with that free chance or that risk reversal offer. And once you have that set up, all of a sudden you're able to start serving them. And if you can start serving them, you serve them well, they're going to have you continue to serve them over and over and over for years and years to come. Create that lifetime value. This is a very powerful concept. It's actually much more developed in Getting Everything You Can Out of All You've Got by Jay Abraham. I'll link that book for you below. That book is freaking insane. It's so powerful. Jay is amazing. I definitely recommend, if you're into making a ton of money with an online business or any kind of business, or yourself personally, through anything that you market, or any kind of connection you make with people that deliver products or services or value in the marketplace, definitely check out that book review below, because it's really good. So let's go over to numero 5. State your qualifications for the given position for which you're applying. Give full details as to the reason you believe you're qualified for the particular position you seek. This is the most important detail of your application. It will determine more than anything else what consideration you receive. State qualifications, right? So you want to really emphasize your experience, your education, every single emphasize. Yeah, you want to focus on all these aspects that are here, and take them and start to apply them into this massive argument of, these are the reasons why you're amazing, this is why you're qualified. And then maybe same thing too if you're selling something, right? Like, you want to sell the results, you want to sell the testimonials, you want to sell the experience, the education. It's all about focusing on what you can bring to the table, because essentially, right, you got to understand, if you're selling a product or service, or if you're applying for a job, what you're basically doing is you're serving the marketplace, right? So you're serving them with products or services, and the marketplace in return for the service pays money to either you or the firm that you work for. And so your goal here really is to show them that you can create the results that the marketplace wants, and you can deliver the value that the marketplace wants, and use that value to obviously create money, create cash flow for yourself, for the company, for the people that you're working for the product or service that you're delivering to them. It's all based on this internal ability to create these results, which come from really, your qualifications to make it happen, and then using your qualifications obviously to fulfill what happens. But the goal here, and this is something Grant talks about in his trainings, and is to over-deliver and over-promise. Over-promise and over-deliver. You want to promise a ridiculous amount of value. You want to just blow people away. Over-promise, and then after you over-promise, you want to over-deliver. So this is really the most important part for qualifications. Those qualifications are really going to help you overpromise and say that you're freaking amazing, you're the best person in the whole world, you're so confident in yourself, you're freaking awesome. And that really comes from, earlier, those leadership traits, and also just some of those amazing checklists for creating confidence and self-confidence. That was a really important module, and that's something you can apply here to really overpromise your products, your services, your ability to deliver in the marketplace, so that you can get in the position where you're able to do that, and then you over-deliver because of, obviously, your education, your experiences, your references, everything you have that allows you to deliver, that makes you qualified. Use that qualification once you get the position to then deliver on the promises that you made, right? So just make sure you focus on basically the number one thing you want to sell, because your job here at the beginning is just to get your foot in the door. You want to sell yourself, you want to sell product, service, whatever it is you're doing. You want to sell the qualifications, and you want to sell the results. And once you can do that, all of a sudden you're really going to be in a much better position and able to better serve the audience, better serve the company, better serve yourself, and create a tremendously more valuable proposition to the marketplace that allows you to just freaking crush it, because in the background you do have these qualifications, you do deserve, and it comes down to this ability you have to go out there and freaking crush it by delivering on and fulfilling with the people that you work with, the clients that you have. Super powerful stuff, really awesome stuff. Stick with it, crush it. And we'll move on to number 5. Apply for a specific position. Avoid application for a position without describing exactly what position you seek. Never apply for just a position. This indicates that you lack specialized qualifications, right? So be specific, let people know this is exactly what I want. Now, a really great way to easily do this is to just follow your secret formula, share with them your overarching long-term goal, and say, look, this is exactly what I want to do, and because this is exactly what I want to do, I see myself working in this position at this company to work towards this overarching long-term goal, and that's really going to be kind of one of your easiest ways to just have total clarity with whatever it is that you're doing. And if you want to convince people to work with you, is to share with them, look, this is where I'm going, this is what I want to do, this is how I am working here, what I want to do here, and that the value I want to deliver to you so that I can work towards this long-term goal. That's really going to be your easiest way to show people exactly why you want this very specific, specialized position. Obviously this requires that you know your expertise and you know what matters to you, and that comes through with the secret formula, so that you're able to understand exactly what role you want to fill in the marketplace and use that very specialized role as a way really to show exactly the impact you want to have. Remember, overpromise, right? Overpromise very specifically. So if you're a heart surgeon, you're going to overpromise that you can remove this very small form of stage 2 benign cancer from the left ventricular of the heart, right? Something very specific like that, instead of just saying, yes, I will make you feel better today. Who are you going to work with, right? Who are you going to pay more money? Someone that says, I will make you feel better today. Someone who tells you exactly what they want to do, exactly how they're going to do it. It all comes down to specialization, and you just want to make sure that you're showing people, look, I know exactly what I want to do. I'm going to be someone that's easy to work with, because look, I've already got this down, right? Like, this is what I want to do. Just let me in your offices, let me in your positions, let me work with you, and we're going to make this result happen. I'm going to turn this into a reality. We're going to crush it together as a team. We're going to crush it together as a partnership by working towards very specifically whatever it is that you want. And then emphasize what you want and stick with what you want, and you'll hold true to your character and your strengths by focusing, at least during the interviewing process and in the initialization, on exactly what you're the best at and what you can deliver the most value at by working on your A game. Super cool stuff. All right, number 6. I feel like I don't really want to run out of room, so I'm not exactly sure how big my face will be. So I'm just gonna start over and we'll do number 6. Offer to go to work on probation in the majority of instances if you're determined to have the position for which you apply it will be most effective if you offer to work for a week or month or for a sufficient length of time to enable your prospective employer to judge your value without pay. This may appear to be a radical suggestion, but experience has proved that it seldom fails to win at least a trial. If you are sure of your qualifications, a trial is all you need. Incidentally, such an offer indicates that you have confidence in your ability to fill the position you seek. It is most convincing. If your offer is accepted and you make good, more than likely you will be paid for your probation period. Make clear the fact that your offer is based on your confidence in your ability to fill the position, your confidence in your prospective employer's decision to employ you after trial, and your determination to have the position you seek. So remember, determination, obviously, you want to show them that, look, you will work for them, you are confident you will work for them, your entire goal is to get in front of these people and work for them. You're committed to them, and you're confident in your individual ability. And then obviously, your employer's, obviously, if you're like for a job, your employer, if you're selling something, this would obviously be maybe like your client's ability to employer/client decision, right? So they're gonna hire you, or obviously, if it's a client, it's like you believe that they're gonna take what you're teaching them and apply it and create tremendous wealth in their lives, which is awesome. So this would be sort of more like a like a trial, or a risk reversal, right? Like we were just talking about. A really great example of this, Jay Abraham, like I talked about, he wrote Getting Everything You Can Out of All You've Got. He's got awesome podcasts. He's a really cool guy. He sells very expensive business coaching, like $100,000 a day, massive costs. He's a really valuable guy because of his positioning and because of the results that he can create. He's able to charge very high rates, right? Like positioning and results. And that's sort of what you want to focus on, or the positioning, and then something more you can control, like the results, right? And how you are, and then how you be, how you create, whatever product, service, industry, niche you're in, the effect that you want to have on people. So with Jay, what he does is he gives out a massive amount of completely free information, which is just amazing. He has this tool called Abraham 101. And I'll link it below. It's really cool. He talks about it all the time on his completely free podcast too. What he does, it's Jay Abraham Show, right? And what he does is he gives out He gives out all this information that most people would charge, tons of money for. Ridiculously valuable information. I'm so sorry. It's not called Abraham 101. It's called Shades of Jay. Yeah, Shades of Jay. 50 Shades of Jay. And I'll link that below, like I said, so you can see the official thing. It's really cool. And he has just this massive amount of business building content completely for free. And he just gives it out there because he knows that, like, look, I charge so much for my consulting that, all this information, like, I could charge money for, but most of his money, a vast majority of his cash flow comes from his $100,000 a day consulting, right? And so the businesses that he works with, they're very high up there, and he knows that. And so what he does is he has confidence in the people he are consuming his content, their individual ability to grow to the point where maybe a small fraction of them will finally be able one day to afford his services, and then use his services to grow their company and create a tremendous amount of revenue. He's triple businesses. He's just awesome at figuring out aspects of a company that aren't performing, right? And that's sort of the whole basis behind getting everything you can out of all you've got, is maximizing underperforming assets to create maximum lifetime client value, and using that to increase your positioning, your value proposition, everything you do, unique selling proposition, all that amazing stuff. Like Domino's Pizza, right? Like one of the great examples he uses is get it in half an hour or it's free before there were a bunch of accidents. Or with FedEx, right? Like get it next day, delivery, guaranteed, right? Like all these unique selling propositions, he uses that as a way to change their marketing. Unique selling proposition, obviously their positioning. And he gives away all this stuff. He uses all this amazing content. I recommend you guys check out the amazing content. The books, which are very low cost. And then, some of his free stuff is this amazing stuff, because, there's this drastic shift between his free content and obviously his highly paid content. There's a massive shift in the audience for that, right? The people that take the free stuff and apply it and use it to grow their business, then they already have a pre-existing relationship with him. So because they have this pre-existing relationship, right, it just creates this insane level of trust between yourself and then him, right? So that if you get to that point where your business is big enough where it makes sense to bring him in as a consultant, you've already got this established relationship. And so what he does is he expands his reach, right? And this is really powerful, right? Is to think about how can you get in front of as many people as possible, right? So for me, like that was sort of like with 9 to Noon, it was different because, it's like a book, right? So you get hard costs with that. But you're trying to get in front of as many people as possible and just completely remove risk on their part by giving away tons and tons of free education, right? Like business education, free business education. And so, he uses this as part of his strategy to work through, right? So he's got all these people coming in, but he knows he's only going to work with just a couple of people. And so because of that, by giving away all this stuff down here for free, all this education, it doesn't really have an impact on him, because he's still going to have his clients at the top. They're going to pay him top dollar to get access to him, right? He's selling himself. Just like you, right? If you're selling yourself to an employer, or if you're selling yourself to the marketplace, whatever it is you're doing, by giving away a ton of this stuff down here for free, he creates a very strong brand, very strong image that gives these people trust and confidence in him, even though most people that consume his stuff aren't compensating him for it. They're getting a ton of value from it, and they're able to create massive results. I mean, it works, right? You got me over here talking about him. Like, it freaking works, right? You create raving fans, like that's the book, right? The whole point of it is to create, this group of people that are going to support you, and that's what I try to do, is deliver a ridiculous amount of value through these courses, so that, hopefully there's a couple of people that might say, hey, recommend this to a friend, right? And then they change their lives, because this stuff's so freaking powerful. It's awesome. It all comes down to your ability to move masses of people, and then have a certain percentage of them come in and say, hey, look, this is awesome, because you're removing that risk. And you're giving away this stuff as a trial. You're giving it away for free. And that's why I give away so much awesome stuff for free, because it's like I know that he's giving us all this value. If you give this value out in the marketplace, it'll come back with time. It'll come back with reciprocity. And it'll just freaking work, because you put it out there. It'll come back over time. It's all based on the strategy of getting rid of the risk, because he's totally confident. Like, this guy is 1,000% confident in his ability to help big businesses create much more revenue and just make a whole bunch of money, right? And so because he has complete confidence in himself, he's able to give away this free content, get rid of the risk entirely for people that he works with, because he knows that if they apply that stuff, they're going to grow their wealth, they're going to grow their influence, they're going to grow everything they have, so that eventually maybe they can afford to work with him, and a small percent of people will afford to work with him, and they'll hire him for top dollar, right? And so that's sort of the business model that he goes through, is just giving out this awesome stuff up front, and then not really worrying about monetizing it, because he knows that if it's worth it, he'll get paid in well-respect and forth as it grows and grows and grows. And just like your employer can pay you for your probation time period, he'll get compensated by his top clients for all the free stuff he gave them earlier in life, right? Same thing happens here with Russell Brunson, right? Like, you guys have seen some of the amazing books, the free books that I've shared with you, the book review videos below, obviously. Russell, he writes, these books, and these have like all of his secrets on how he grew and how to grow, just an amazing online business, to have massive success. Business, right? Just huge growth, huge profits. And it all comes from his ability to transfer, his knowledge through these books. And these books are totally free. And then after people buy his books, they ClickFunnels, some of the ways to build an online business, some of those trainings, some of those fundamental practices that he teaches in the books, also taught in that Partner with Anthony course. And then he goes through teaching this stuff, and then he moves them up his value ladder, right? So then he has like coaching, right? And he has his group of is like mastermind. So in his mastermind, it's mastermind. It's like $25,000, right? And very limited seating, very limited amount of people. And it's all about, going up this value ladder, right? So at the bottom, you have a ton of free stuff or very low ticket, and then you bring them up this value ladder, very low. And this is all stuff that he actually like literally teaches in, I think .com Secrets or Experts. It was probably .com Secrets, and then he elaborated on it in Expert Secrets and Traffic Secrets. Very powerful way to expand your sphere of influence, because all of a sudden you're creating this relationship that develops over time. This is the development of a relationship. And so once you're developing this relationship, all of a sudden, it doesn't matter if you have a trial / risk reversal at the bottom, because you know that at the top it's going to be worth so much more when you can just keep growing with these people that work with you, right? So you use that as a way to get to this level right here, where all of a sudden you literally have people that say they're paying him for the knowledge that they got in the books, right? You have people paying 25 grand to be in this mastermind, and there are testimonies of people that are saying it was all because of the information in these books that literally changed their entire lives, their whole business, everything. And I'll have these book review videos below that allowed them to create their online business, their online success. And the only reason they're in this mastermind is because they feel so bad that like they didn't compensate him enough for the amount of value that he gave them. Let me say that again, because it's so important. They're paying him 5-6 figures over time because they feel like they aren't compensating him enough for the free information or very low cost information that he gave them. Like, how amazing is that? How powerful is that? All because he gave this trial risk reversal at the beginning and developed this relationship. Like, he's now has raving fans that just want to give him money because of everything that he's done for them and all the values delivered in their lives. He's using that as a tool to leverage to grow and increase up this value ladder over and over. All from this basic information. The information in these masterminds, the information people pay 25 grand for, is the exact same information that are in these free books. Think about that for a second. Think about how powerful that is. Same thing with Jay Abraham. He pretty much gives out all of his information for free through those resources, his books, low cost, and then like podcasts, amazing stuff. And so like that's basically what you get with his consulting. But with his consulting, you get him. With this mastermind, you get him. You get the person. And it's just a different level of value that you bring to the marketplace, and you're able to charge so much more. And it all comes from this original relationship where you establish a ridiculous amount of value to create the success that you want, the growth that you want, and really move up that value ladder, which is just such a powerful concept where you start off, like if I was talking to this guy, he's a photographer. I met him at a convention. It's called Success National Achievers Conference. Really cool stuff. And we're listening to Dean Graziosi speak, and he was cool. He was talking about stuff, and he was talking about his photography business, and he was trying to sell like influencers on Instagram in the Atlanta area, like a $2,000 package deal where he'll take all their photos for them, and then edit them, and then put them up on Instagram, and it looks really good. And he'll do that, $2 grand. He'll do it for like I think it was like a month. And I'm like, dude, that's awesome. What else do you sell? And he's like, nothing. And I'm like, what? Because you can't just start off with this ridiculously high-priced thing at the top, right? Like you gotta gradually go towards it. You have to have stepping stones. So I was like, dude, you gotta give people stuff for free. So he made like, an Instagram filter. You know, he had like this filter, and he made this filter, and he was like, dude, give away the filter for free, because it's very, very valuable. People are gonna love you if you give it away for them for free. And then, you know, move them up your value ladder. What else can you sell them besides a 1 month photo shoot, right? 1 month of photos. You know, that's a big ask for somebody. That's a big commitment. Maybe say, what else can you do for them? Maybe I'll edit your photos personally, right? Just take them on your phone. I'll make them look like they were taken on the best camera in the world. And then after that, you can say, hey, let me take like 10 photos. Take like 10 photos for, I don't know, maybe like a couple $100, right? And just like normal photography rates. And now, instead of going straight to this expensive part, you're starting out with a ton of value here. And especially if you're giving away something for free, you're giving them a trial into your offers. You're giving them a sample. You're giving them a taste, like a free sample at Costco, right? And if you give enough people a taste, enough people have a sample, it's gonna lead to people buying and moving up this value ladder and consuming more and more of what you produce. And it all comes from just getting more people in the door, more people, you know, looking at your products and services, by offering this risk reversal, offering this trial, whatever it is you do, to crush it, using this principle. So really, really powerful stuff. There are a lot of amazing tools that elaborate on this much more than I can in this video. So I'll link those review videos below. Highly recommend you check out those programs. They're amazing. And honestly, it'll freaking change your life if you're looking to just crush it in your life with massive success. It's awesome. Really, really cool stuff. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to number 7. And we are almost there, guys. We're almost there. Number 7. Knowledge of your prospective employer's business. Before applying for a position, do sufficient research in connection with the business to familiarize yourself thoroughly with that business and indicate in your brief the knowledge you've acquired in this field. This will be impressive, as it will indicate that you have imagination and a real interest in the position you seek. Remember that it is not the lawyer who knows the most law, but the one who best prepares the case who wins. If your case is properly prepared and presented, your victory will have been more than half won at the outset, right? Know your employer if you're trying to get a job, client if you're trying to sell something. Just know your audience, right? You want to know your audience. And just do a ton of research on them, if they're like a company, on them, or maybe on like their demographic, if you're looking to sell a product or service, whatever it is, demographic, so that like you understand them better than you understand yourself. So for me, like with 9 to noon, like I was my own market. Like I was the demographic. I was that guy trying to invest and learn how to invest and create real savings in retirement. So for me, it was really easy because like I was my market. So for you, like try to figure out, you know, your market and understand very detailed level, at a very detailed level, who they are and what their desires are. I'll give you a really great example here that I think exemplifies this principle very well. Damon John, awesome guy. I just saw him speak the other day. Oh my God, it was so cool. His books are amazing. You guys have seen them in the resource section. I've talked about him so much. Just crazy cool. Amazing books, amazing literature. Like everything about it is awesome. He talked about, you know, he was just walking around with some friend, and this guy was like, "Hey Damon, I have this deal, and I think you're really gonna like it." And he said, "Look, I got this company, and I want you to come. I want you to be a partner with me. I want you to come in. We're gonna have this deal. It's gonna be awesome. Here's what I'm asking of you. I need an hour of your time per week. I need access to your connections / Rolodex. I need access to your Rolodex of people, and I need access to your distribution channels." Remember, guys, distribution channels are huge, especially with like any kind of business, because that's how you get in front of the people that are actually going to spend money on or transact with you to start to create, that value and then turn that value into its actual cash equivalent. And he's like, this is what I need from you, Damon. And in exchange for that, I'm going to give you, I think it was, I feel like it was like 10%. I forget. I think it was about 10%. I give you 10% of the returns, 10% of revenue, whatever. I'm going to donate to build wells in Africa. And I'm going to save I think it was seals. Save the seals in the Arctic. So he's going to get the money, he's going to have charitable contributions, and then he's going to, help kids in Africa, and then obviously help penguins, I guess, which is cool. In exchange for an hour of his time, and obviously the Rolodex, the connections, all the stuff that he, shares with people when he makes the deals with them. And Damon is like, dude, are you freaking kidding me? He was like, what? Because here's the deal. He's like, if you did any research on me, you would know that I value more than anything time with my family. And he's like, I will never want to give away this amazingly valuable time I have with my family, because that's the most important part of my life. And he's like, I wouldn't want to give away this hour a week because that's an hour away from his kids. All right? Makes sense? And then he said, look, dude, what the heck? I don't care. He doesn't care about this very specific city. He had a specific city in Africa, Africa water, right? He was like, dude, if you looked at me online, you would realize that what I really am passionate about is helping, I think he said, kids in Ethiopia learn, he was like helping them prevent disease or something, or get rid of traffic. It was disease. I feel like he was trying to help people in Ethiopia get rid of disease. It was like, that's what I care about. And if you just did a little bit more research on me, you would have learned that and realized that that's what really mattered to me, not building wells for this other town that I'm not as passionate about. And then he's like, dude, look, I don't care about the seals. Why would I care about the seals? I'm passionate about saving endangered species in a very, very specific industry, right? Species. Yeah, cool. And he's like, if you did more research on me, you would have realized everywhere I talk about, I'm talking about saving this endangered species. I don't care about the seals. I never talk about the seals. And so if you just learn more about me, if you're more interested in me, if you could be more interested, all of a sudden he's going to be more interested. You're going to become more interesting, right? More interested in him leads to a more interested person, more interesting person. Right? And Damon's like, there's no freaking way I'm going to do this deal because you're not showing me what I want. You're showing me what you want, focusing on that. So know the audience and know your audience's wants, your desires, their needs. So for an employer, maybe they're like, look, we just really want to help more people. And then obviously more clients means more revenue for us when we need to grow our business. Maybe if you're looking at selling a product or service, right? You want to identify what's that core desire that somebody wants to overcome, that one thing that they want from this relationship, from this connection, and then give it to them, right? And that's the power behind everything you're doing here, is you want to have this growth with them. So instead of focusing on yourself and your desires, your internal beliefs, you really, really know your audience. You know exactly what they want. You know their business. You know what they do. And because you know what they do and you know what they want, you know their internal desires so well, you're going to be able to connect with them at a level that's ridiculously outperformed. It's so much stronger than what most people are doing in the marketplace. And it's such a higher level that all of a sudden you're able to crush it with them, give them exactly what they want. And if you can give somebody exactly what they want, they're going to reciprocate and they're going to give you what you want in return, which is super, super powerful. So make sure when you do this, right, like you really take the time to do your homework. And once you can do your homework, right, you want to focus very, very much on the other party. And you want to give them and learn about them and give them exactly what they want. And I do this all the time. It's so important, especially if higher level deals like with Monero ads, right? You want to know exactly what the other party wants and give it to them. And if you can make exactly what someone wants and sell them that, you're gonna be in a really, really, really great position to create a tremendous amount of success and wealth for yourself, your family, whatever it is you're working on. All because of your ability to connect with people at a fundamental level and give them exactly what they freaking want. It's really cool, really powerful stuff. So make sure you think about it from their perspective. What do they want? What is powerful for them, right? And then give it to them. And that's sort of the point here, is to just do like 10, 20, 30, 40% more research. If you put in just a little bit more effort to learn about them, all of a sudden you're going to have a massive pattern returns based on the knowledge you have, because you're able to better serve them, better sell yourself, better sell products and services, better sell whatever it is you have. If you put in just that little bit of extra effort at the front, it's going to radically change the way you perceive yourself and the value you have in the marketplace. Really, really powerful stuff. So with that said, let's go on to our last number for creating your amazing cover letter. Do not be afraid of making your CV too long. Employers are just as interested in purchasing the services of well-qualified applicants as you are in securing employment. In fact, success of most successful employers is due, in the main, to their ability to select well-qualified lieutenants. They want all information possible. Remember, we talked about this earlier, consumption theory. They want to know everything. They love to consume information. People love to consume information. They want to consume information. People love to consume information. They want to take all this stuff in. Remember, they love it. And if they're consuming more stuff about you and they're reading about all these amazing, amazing things you did, if they have this huge list of everything that you've done, and you have like 100 things that you're doing, and all these amazing results that you're having, and this amazing success that you have, and then, you're being compared against people that have a resume with like 5 or 4 things on it, and you have like 20, and they have like just a very small amount of things. Like, who do you think they're going to pick? Like you. They'll pick you because you've done so much more. You have so much more value, right? They want all this information. They want a well-qualified applicant. And then he also says, neatness and preparation of your CV will indicate that you are a painstaking person. It will help to prepare. I've helped prepare CVs for clients. They were so striking out of the ordinary. They resulted in employment of the application without a personal interview, right? We talked about this earlier. Same thing. Is to just never fear too much information. Make this thing as long as it needs to be, as long as possible. Make it reasonable. But if you got extra stuff, put it on there. Show them you're awesome. Give a ridiculous amount of value, right? You want to say like result, right? And if they see so many results, right? Result. Maybe this is experience. Maybe this is education. Just result, right? If they see all this stuff, you see more and more of it. You're more and more qualified. They want to hire qualified people. Their job as an employer is to hire qualified people. So if that's what you're going for, you want to hire qualified people. Same thing. You're selling a product or service. You're creating value in the marketplace. Maybe you want to focus on results. Maybe you have a product or service where you're like actually bring people through like a training like this, right? And you want to share with them all the amazing benefits they're going to have. It would make sense, who are you going to buy from? You're going to buy from somebody that has maybe a list of like 2 things that it does versus somebody that has a list of like 36 top performance hacks, top achievement, growth hacks that you can have today, right now. And then they have like 50 testimonials versus maybe like, 2 testimonials. Like more is pretty much better, right? You want to give people more information. You want to let them make a better decision. You want to let them crush it. And it all comes from this individual ability to really get out there and say, look, more, right? People want more. And if you give them more, all of a sudden, it's like you're just completely separating yourself from the competition. There's this stark contrast between you two. You're just totally separated. Because now, it's like you're just such a more elevated position out of anyone else there that it just makes so much sense to give you that first chance, give you that shot versus competitors, versus anybody else, because you're just going to be out there crushing it, right? Hill talks about printing your CV on really, really fancy paper, the best paper you have, and always check the grammar. Like, if everybody else gives in a resume and it's on like cardstock or just like very basic computer paper, and then yours is on this majestic silk and it's so beautiful, satin edges, it's just so out of the ordinary. Like, who do you think's gonna stand out in that pile? Same thing with grooming and dressing. He talks about that too. It's like wearing a suit. Like, who do you think's gonna stand out? Somebody that walks in a t-shirt, or somebody that walks in and they are the man of the hour. They've got their awesome suit on, and like they've got a 3-piece suit on. They've got their red tie. Like, who do you think's gonna stand out? It's like not even a question, right? It's like, of course this guy is gonna stand out. Wow, that was really, really great drawing. Because it's like, look, he's got his suit on, he's green, and he's got his suit pants that are green. If you dress yourself so much better than every other applicant there, if you show up to a McDonald's interview wearing like your 3-piece suit from Wall Street, like, do you think that you're gonna have an edge over all the other people there? Like, of course, right? So why would you not apply that mentality to any other position, any other application, any other time where you're in the marketplace trying to create direct value? Like, bring your A game, especially if it's a decision that could start to move you up that value ladder that we talked about earlier. If you're at the most important point right here at the bottom, where like you need to have a solid first impression, that first impression freaking matters. And so because of that, it's like you kind of have to make it happen. And I talk about this over on YouTube, but like, that suit can really be the distinction that you need to have the separation between the majority of people and you, and using that as a tool to grow your self-confidence and also grow your individual ability to get yourself the time needed to sell yourself to products and services, whatever it is that you're doing. I know personally, going through sales jobs, like I've walked in the store, sell small business owners, and same thing too if you're seeking employment through an agency, right? If you can separate yourself through the quality of goods, the quality of yourself that you present, it's just going to radically change the perception that you have in the marketplace, right? Because all of a sudden you're completely different from everyone else. So anyway, like, I would walk in these stores and like be like this kid, or my age, and like huge 3-piece suit, stuff like that, massive suit, and it's like I would have people that were like, wow, you look really great, I would love to talk to you about this, I'd love to do business with you, just because of that first impression, because it matters. So listen, guys, really powerful information in this module. Hope you guys take it, hope you guys apply it, and honestly, go out there, freaking crush it. Get yourself a suit. Like, if you don't have one, it'll change your life. The appearance, the perception that you come across with. I know a lot of times I would wear suits to school because I have clients after school. I need to meet with clients and I want to look good for them, and for myself, right? It's mostly for myself, because it's like you put the work in on yourself. All of a sudden, you have the self-confidence that comes out, and it erodes, and it's just such an amazing way to grow yourself, just by changing the state you're in and changing how you perceive yourself. And all of that comes from the suit, right? So it elevates your mindset, it elevates everything you do. Not people, and you get treated so differently. All because of it's just social status, social symbols, right? It's dumb. But it will change your perception, it will change your ability to close deals, it'll change your ability to get in front of people. So just like, if you're going to something like this and you really want this to happen, you really want to crush it, you can tie everything off with a nice little loop, nice little bow on the top, and make it happen with this suit. Make it happen with your perception, make it happen with your grooming, make it happen with your presentation. All of a sudden, you're just gonna freaking crush it, man. So hey, hope you guys got a ridiculous amount of value from this module, and I can't wait to see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and have an amazing day. Sweet. See ya.